people, Nina here. So this week I finished reading Iron Flame, which I'll put here because I read the digital book. I borrowed my sister's Kindle and read it digitally because it was so popular at the library that I could not check it out. So I read the digital copy and I listened to the audiobook with it, and I was going to sit here and review it because I had read the first one and I reviewed that last week, and I was going to sit here and review it. But here's the thing, I did not like it at all, and it was not good. It was not good. And the main issue with it was it's like 700 and some pages, I think 650, 700, somewhere in that ballpark. And it maybe could have been 200. And this is the issue with mass market publishing and big publishers and supply and demand. And so I figured today, instead of, well, I'm gonna half review it, but instead of dumping on this book that I just did not like at all, so much so that I probably will not even attempt to read the third one, and there's two more, I don't even know, but I instead thought I would talk about big publishing and the issue with overconsumption. Now, a few months ago, I made a video on overconsumption and on people purchasing books and equated it to fast fashion. And I basically talked about how people, instead of utilizing things like the library or borrowing books or little libraries, it became a trend, especially on TikTok and YouTube. I saw a few here where people would mass buy books off of Amazon and be like, my 100 book purchasing whatever haul, and it was an issue. And I talked about how the overconsumption of books was bad for the environment. Part of this issue, and a huge thing with this, is the marketing behind that and massive publishing houses going for money over quality, what am I looking for? Quantity over quality. And when they decide, a book like Fourth Wing becomes super popular, and they want to then again market off of this idea, it gets to the point where I don't know if it's specifically this book, it needed an editor and it needed to have more time, but because there was such a high demand, and they didn't want the demand to drop and people to be waiting, the book needed more editing. It needed re-reviewed and just to take out information that wasn't relevant to the story, because there was a lot of rambling where you could have easily taken out 200 pages of information that was not necessary for the book, and it didn't add to the plot in any way. And I was reading it going, do I need this? Is this relevant to the story? Is the writing strong enough to make this important and connect it? No. And I feel yes, this is an issue with the author themselves, maybe not knowing what to keep and what to put in the book, but this is also the issue with the editor's job and the publishing house person that is putting the pressure on to have these books mass pushed out, and why we end up with so many books that you're like, how did this even get published? Because supply demand, there's right now a huge market for that. So instead of, not all books, obviously, because there's amazing books that I've loved, and there've been a rare few that I just haven't liked at all. But no, I don't want to even say newer books, but there's just certain, not even genres. There's just a certain, when a book is very popular and they want to feed off of that popularity, they then will like do whatever they can to make money, because ultimately it's a job and they want to make money. And especially these massive publishing houses, they care more about money than they do the product, and they just want people to buy it because their business is money. Yes, their publishing house, they care about books, but when it boils down to it, they care about money. America, capitalism, it all goes back. But when it's complicated, but the idea basically that it needed more time spent on it, and these books need more time spent on it. It's an issue with publishing and the pressure that they're under to meet the demand for the product and releasing it quickly, because we are a society that likes fast, again, like fast fashion, fast consumption, not patient. We like to just consume really quickly. I hope this is making sense. I feel like I myself am rambling, but just to like consume really quickly, and they don't like massive publishing houses don't care. And I live in a state which is known for publishing and having small like indie presses, and I feel like those presses struggle under and this has always been the case, but I feel like it's more prevalent now with the internet being what it is, and like book talk and social media being what they are. They struggle under the pressure of like social media and of these huge publishing houses which have so much money able to capitalize on it, and then they're down here with like high quality work and these tiny publishing houses and beautifully well written books that maybe just aren't seen as much as the ones up here. That is my take. And it's frustrating when you read a book and it has that, and like I'm not saying that every book you read has to be like a historical, like classic literature book, but when a book lacks quality, or when a book needs editing and the characters aren't connecting to the story, and they're adding more characters that aren't necessary but they have to fill pages because longer book means better quality, it just becomes an issue. And that was the main issue I had. And it's, again, with the environment, it ties in with that, because they make more, they want to sell more, and then people tire of it because they're like, why do I need this? Whatever. It just like is an endless cycle, and then it goes out. Yeah, I talked about this too with overconsumption in books, how people buy too much and then they have this book and then you end up with thousands in a Goodwill. I recently went to Goodwill and bought 2 books which were like, I don't even think the spine was cracked, and they were like new. And I was like, okay, like great for me because I get to read these books, but there were so many books, and I just, yeah, it's just hard to like see this happening over and over again, and knowing that it affects the environment. I think her third one, they recorded that it sold over like 1 million copies, which is an insane amount. And so like the demand was there, but then you go to the reviews, not all of the reviews, there's some, but there are like a few diehard fans, which is great, that's amazing, but then there were a lot of reviews that are like, what did I just read? Why does this not have any like substance? Why don't these characters connect? Why is there like missing plot holes? Why is this so long? This feels like it needs an editor. Like, it needed more time with it, and it needed just to be sat with longer, and it shouldn't have come out within a year because it wasn't ready, because they're pushing quantity over quality. And that is my take. It's frustrating. And so I don't know what book I'm going to read next. It will not be the third one. I don't know if I will be reading that. We'll see. Yeah, based on the reviews. But yeah, the title of this video is "This Could Have Been an Email," because that is exactly how I felt about this book. It could have been 200 pages, and it was 700, 600, 700 pages that I cannot get back. I put this on 2 times speed on my audiobook. I was like, come on, I need like, and it's not even that it's like not constantly action, because it is, and it's constantly like, I think Jack Edwards, he's on here that and reviews books, said it best with the first one. I saw his review on the first one, and he said there's no like release. Like, books need to have tension points of like action, resolution, action, like that's just the general style it needs to have, like graph of like thing. There's no release in this, so you're reading it and you're like, okay, it's stressful, whatever. Do I need to know this information? What is this? Who are these characters? Why is she introducing new characters when we have 2 chapters left that are not relevant to the book? And there's no break. And you're like, yeah, there were just a lot of issues with it. And there are issues with the writing. Now I am reviewing it because I was like, you know what? There are issues with the writing in the way, the main thing that I noticed, and not being attached to the characters. She doesn't give you a reason, without spoiling anything, when a character no longer exists in the book and she kills them off. You're not attached to them because there has been so many characters and not enough information about this singular character that you're like, you don't feel sad. And the main character is annoying because all she does is, in the second one, all she does is complain about how he is like holding information from her, like not telling her the truth. She's just whiny, and it just doesn't land. And so sorry if you loved it. I love that for you, and that's amazing. Enjoy the book. I just couldn't get behind it, and I know that it's an issue with editing and quantity over quality and money. It's always where it comes back to. And that was the same thing with overconsumption in books, is instead of actually enjoying the book or actually taking time to write the book, we're just consuming. And capitalism in America it's a full circle thing. Yeah. So yeah, this could have been an email. It should have been 200 pages, maybe 3, but 300 is pushing it. I would say 200. You could have gotten the premise of this. Yeah. So that is it for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a little bit of a rant, but just, I feel like making content on books, and specifically books you have to talk about. And I'm a huge environment lover and like advocate for environmental justice, and so like connecting the idea of consumption and overconsumption and books and fast marketing just is something that I'm always going to do and always bring it back to. But you can't talk about books without talking about the machine that runs them, the publishing houses, and the money that they are trying to squeeze out of the consumers. Yeah. So that is it for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts down below. Have you read the second one? Have you read Iron Flame? Have you ever felt this way about a book where you're like, why did they make this? I know some of you have, because I've read reviews on different books where they have the issue of this doesn't connect, and it seems like they were just trying to get more money out of the series. So I know there's a few people out there, but yeah. That is all for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I love you all, and I will see you next Friday with a brand new video. Bye!